Welcome to Spa once more. So this is another one of those REVV Racing lobbies. It's a different day though. I did two on the same evening. Those were my previous videos. And then this was the next day. I wasn't really planning to do more Spa necessarily. But I did feel in the previous sessions that I still had a lot to refresh on. I also joined the REVV Racing Discord. And they're doing an event at Spa on Saturday, so a little extra practice doesn't hurt, I guess. And then I saw that they had a lobby open, so I just went for it. Especially since it was in qualifying, so I wouldn't have to wait for a new race to start or the previous one to end, more like. So anyway, I did my outlap, started my proper lap, and if you looked at the timer, you would have noticed that there was really just one chance, one opportunity. This is everything I had time for. So yeah, no fussing about, just try to put in a solid lap, but also try not to go too crazy with braking points and so on, because if I get track limits, that's it. I don't get to qualify at all. So yeah, leave a bit on the table there through Le Combe 2 especially. There's a car stranded on the side, but whatever. Not in my way, so I don't care too much. Here in Brussels, I'm maybe a little slow also. I think I could have kept the minimum speed up a bit higher, but yeah, just playing it safe. I don't mind that version of Jackie X by me, so it's alright. And then we find ourselves in Pouron. I could have run a little deeper on the middle curb, also on the exit. It's really hard to judge the speed you should keep. You know, by the time you get on throttle, it's still so far before you get to the apex, so it's just hard to be super consistent, and that's exactly what I need to practice for, I guess. So far so good too, though. One of the three no lift zones, if you go full out there, Stavelot, I did lift, and somewhat significantly. I imagine I did the same in Eau Rouge and Radion, I don't remember. And then, yeah, not too bad lift here in Blanchimont, just to keep it safe. I did have a lot of margin there, so I think I maybe could have gone full out without issue, but we'll never know. So coming up to the line, and it will be a 2:21.7, which is not fantastic, but I can live with it. And by the way, the guy behind, Jay van der Schoot, I had a friend in high school, mostly, with the exact same name. So it really had me wondering. Like, we were in touch actually just last year, so, or maybe it was even this year still, but yeah, anyway, it had me wondering heavily, could this be the same guy? Because I know he used to at least be quite into video games, or in at least computers, so who knows. Anyway, we're off to the start. I get super close behind this, is it Romagné? I believe it was, let's find out. No, I guess it's Bauer, maybe, Bauer. I'm not sure anymore who it was, but we saw from the bumper cam that they came really close when they swung over to the other side of the road. So yeah, pretty nice to get away cleanly and get a good race start. It was something that I was wondering the day before. These lobbies by REVV Racing, they had, you know, racing with your elbows out, but not maliciously so. And then I think surprisingly little incidents on lap 1. Because usually in Radion there's big crashes, also on or at the end of the Camel Straight, big crashes. But I think because these lobbies have a bunch of people that always go all the way to the back, it creates enough room at the front to keep it on track for the most part. But anyway, with all of this happening, I found myself in P5 all of a sudden, which is pretty crazy. I'm not used to driving this far in front at the sharp ends for the most part, so I don't mind it, definitely. Big pile up here. Leon race falls back, tumbles down the order, gets overtaken by most of the pack, I imagine, because when you get spun like that, it's really hard to do a safe rejoin while the whole pack is still zooming on by. Next up, Moreno Molina parks it on the side. I guess their race is over for an external reason, I'm not sure. Then Kandik comes on super fast behind and flies off into the barrier. I was pretty confused about this during the race, so I was happy to look at the replay. So they had a better exit out of Stavelot, and they were closing in at a moderate pace. And then I had a bit of a lift to make it through Blanchimont. I missed the curb a little bit also, and they just went flat out. And so they pull alongside, and then I don't know. It's like they want to move to the outside of the corner, really open up the corner, like I don't exist, and they just kind of bump into me. And then they do they have the crash, and then they do the safest rejoin that I've ever seen. It was a class move. And then they teleport to the pits, and their race is over. So goodbye. So we complete the first lap. My timing sheet says 7 minute 22. Not a stellar time. I've done better, but it's just a bug on Spa with lap 1 always. It did count as my best lap so far, so I guess I didn't have any off-track adventures. So that's pretty cool. And by this time I find myself in P3, so if I counted it already as the sharp end previously, all the more so now. In Eau Rouge Garion I do a small lift, but I still get a warning, or I go past track limits anyway, and I even get the warning for it, so that's a bit too bad. You only get 3 warnings before you start getting penalties, so something to keep in mind for sure. Also, compared to previous videos, the timing sheet is updating at least much faster, but I don't think these gaps are actually correct at all. It used to be that they seemed the most correct on the straights, but now it looks like they're more correct in the corners, but it's really hard to say because I'm just guesstimating. But look here, for example, the car in front, there's no way that they're 7 seconds away from me, so a bit strange. Anyway, at least it's updating and it gives kind of an idea, even though the actual timing of the gap is different. So yeah, on lap 2 now, I'll look to try and put down a proper timed lap without a bug, so that I can have something to check my delta against. Trying not to run wide, but yeah, of course I already ran wide in Garion, so this lap won't count for it, unfortunately. And yeah, if you look at the map, I was waiting for that message. I saw me going past track limit. So already the second strike on only the second lap, and it's a little funky. I don't know why they do 17-minute races, but Rev Racing does 17-minute races. So it's about, I guess, 8 laps. Could it be 9? Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna do the calculation now. Yeah, 8 laps, and on lap 2 I already have 2 strikes, which means I only have 1 strike left before I start getting penalties. Not ideal. Behind we do see that Race has made a pretty good comeback. I believe they did a 2 minute 19 on the past lap, although I'm not entirely sure. Myself, I did a 2 minute 20.9, which is pretty close actually to my personal best on this track. So it looks like Race has quite a bit more speed than me. Might become an issue for me relatively soon, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, I'm not sure how clear it is on the video, but if you see them in my rearview mirror, pay attention, because you might catch some lights flashing. They were already flashing their lights down the Camel Straight, which was absurd because they were still very, very far back. And for the people that are not familiar with, look there they go, flashing lights. So for the people that are not familiar with racing etiquette or GT3 racing etiquette, so flashing lights, you can typically do it once, maybe twice if you're coming up on a blue flag situation, so you're about to overtake a back marker. And also if there's a multi-class racing, if you're in a faster class and you're coming up on a slower class, then it's fine also to flash your lights. When you're going for just fighting someone for position, it's really not much appreciated to flash your lights at those people, like this guy is doing at me. Let alone doing it multiple times, like here they go again. So yeah, continuously flashing. Anyway, they catch up to me and we go through Blanchimont. I lift to try and make the corner because we were side by side. They don't lift at all, they go super wide and they get the position. I figure deserves a bit of a dive, but if I say so myself, I measure it to perfection. It's like, I was super happy with this overtake. I thought it was very clean. So if we run it back, here out of Campus and then Stavelot, they have a bit more speed than me. And then yeah, in the flat out section towards Blanchimont, they start pulling alongside. I choose to defend and still flashing their lights even though we're alongside. It's so ridiculous. So there, I think they even bumped me a bit, but they just stay flat out to make the overtake. If we had both stayed flat out, we would have crashed for sure, but gentleman that I was there, I get off the gas to try and make the corner. And then yeah, I just pull it back in the bus stop chicane. Their braking phase, they brake too late, and I have my braking was measured perfectly for that inside line. I was very happy about it. Oh yeah, but so I went back in the replay checking how many times they flash in one lap. So here we are, notice counter at the bottom. And every time their thumb moves down, that's them flashing. So yeah, it's so stupid. What a doofus. And that's one lap and 24 flashes. So yeah, here I expected a big counter dive, so I got to the inside quite soon or quite early. Not my best move because it leaves me a bit compromised on the exit, but I maintain enough speed over them and enough head start that I get to Blanchimont or Mouche Radion first. And so I have a small lead heading up the Camel Straight, but looks like they be going for a dive at the end of the straight, maybe into Le Combe. I'll have to wait and see. I assume they're still flashing their lights behind. They do pull alongside, but then they overshoot and they spin out, and it's a easy repass for me. Here we can see it in the replay, so I pinch them a bit towards the inside and I move back to the racing line at the last moment. And then I start braking, and after the race they were blowharding about me having moved under braking and causing their spin and how I'm a danger to myself and those around me. Going by the images, I think that's a little much probably, but I'll be doing clearer or a more thorough investigation at the end of the video. In the meantime, any case, Race has not lost too much time. He's still about 1.5 seconds behind, and he's definitely the guy to watch for me, because if I look out front, then yeah, Bauer in P2 is 6 to 7 seconds up the road, and Lafon is even further ahead, 8.5 seconds, so it doesn't look like I'll be catching up to them anytime soon. But who knows, we're only about halfway through this race. These ref racing lobbies are 17 minutes for a race, which is a bit of an odd number, but I guess why not? Problem either. Anyway, I'm expecting Race to show back up and close in on me, and seems that he's already kind of doing that. He's getting closer to the 1 second mark. He had previously done, of course, a 2:19, so yeah. Myself, in this race, my best lap is a 7:22, which is the first lap with the oddity where it's always counted way longer. I think I may have had track limits in this one too, but let's find out. Yeah, so I did a 2:21.4. Not my best, but not too far off from that, unfortunately. But still not a personal best in the race, so I did hit track limits somewhere. And if you look behind, so Race did a 2 minute 22.3, so didn't catch up on that lap. But Blom in P5 did a 2 minute 19 point something, so definitely getting closer. So we're on the Camel Straight again, heading to Le Combe. Race is about 1.5 seconds behind. You can't really tell in the mirrors, but I bet he's flashing his lights to his heart's content. Let's see if we can catch some happening in the background now. With the concertina effect, is of course getting closer, so it could be visible. And there he is in the rear view mirror, immediately, of course, flashing his lights. Presumably looking to make a move as soon as possible, but we'll see how that goes. There's a slow car up ahead. They move out of the way just in time. I was about to see if I could pass on the left, but then just in time they left the racing line, and I didn't lose too much time. Behind we see Race flashing the lights again before they flash off the track for a moment with, I suppose, high ping. I think they were looking at making a move on the inside in the previous corner perhaps, but nothing doing there. And here I cover the inside line just in case. I'm gonna have a tough time passing here. I have to catch a bit of a slide, but again there's no way of passing here, so all good. They do get a bit of a run on me towards Blanchimont, just slightly faster, so they'll maybe just pull alongside a little bit, yeah, about halfway alongside. And then it's always a bad idea to go into Blanchimont side by side, because yeah, you can't both stay on the throttle, you both have to lift off, but I think neither one of us wants to give up at this point, and there is contact. I left just about a car's width, but it's super hard to control there on the inside. Oh yeah, since they were flashing so much, I also gave them something to look at, so I put on my blinkers. And then here we arrive at Blanchimont side by side. One car's width is not enough. It's so tough to control, so they fully spin out. But I was very happy with my catch on the slide, so big slide, but manage it well. Just have to get off the throttle a bit when I pass over the grass, but no major damage otherwise. So Race drops back to P5. I'm still P2 at this point, I guess. And then behind me I have now Blom, very close behind, and then Bertie right behind them. Since they were already, I think, battling it out. They both managed a 2:19.2, so definitely faster than me. There's only 5 minutes in the race though, so I feel very entitled to defend and try and keep my position. So that's my plan. As such, heading through Rouge-Radion, I try to lift as minimally as possible. I do a pretty good job of it, but still Blom is creeping closer. So here they are about to come alongside. They position themselves to go for the inside line. I brake, and as I brake, I feel like I'm not getting a shot here to stay on the outside because they have too much speed to stay on the inside. And yeah, I should have made that case clearer by just trying to stick on the outside and getting bumped off. Instead, I slow down a bit, and that puts me behind through the second corner. So I guess some frustration on my end was seeping through from the battle with Race. I'm not happy with the move I made there of passing off track again. I think if I had made my stance better and got bumped off, that would have been fine, but as it was, I kind of already let the position go and then I took it back anyway, so that wasn't good. During the race, it didn't so much feel like me, at least not immediately. Afterwards, I was rethinking it and feeling like, okay, maybe I was wrong there. But yeah, in the meantime, the lap had gone on, so Blom was already right on the back of me again, and then they just bumped me off the track. And at this point, they typed Karma in the chat, which, I mean, Karma seems a bit heavy-handed there, but it is what it is. If you look back at it, so through Pouhon, they stick very close behind. We come up to Le Fagnes. Still very, very close behind through the first corner. Berti is also closing in again, and then in the second part they just unceremoniously dumped me out of the way. So yeah, I understand their frustration with the first overtake. I don't think it was totally legit, and I feel like they could have gone for a clean overtake, but I get what they did. But yeah, anyway, they were definitely heavy-handed in the quote-unquote punishment, and in the end they gain a position, but they then lose it immediately to Bech. So I guess karma works both ways. This doesn't put me in P3 again, it's race in P4. So I felt the storm coming at that point, for sure. I was just hoping to keep a race behind as long as possible and try to manage the gap. So they did a 2:19.4, also faster than I typically, or than I've ever managed really on this track. So it might be tough to keep this up, but there's less than 3 minutes to go. So with the leaders right in front of me, that means that we'll do this lap and then one more lap, and that's it. And race is at this time 2.6 seconds behind, so it is defendable for sure. Through Rouge Radion, I do a super minimal lift again. Maintain the gap actually with race, so I guess they also had to do a small lift. Brake just slightly too late maybe, so my second corner in Le Combe is I'm offline, and then this puts me off balance for the follow corner Malmedy, and I have to catch a pretty big slide which costs me heaps of time, and race comes through. So my whole plan is immediately out the window. I'm now P4, and with Zielstra about 8 seconds behind in P5, it looks like if I want to still put a battle on somewhere or put up a fight somewhere, it will have to be versus race, so I'll really have to dig deep and first of all stick with them, and then eventually even get an overtake if that's what I'm going for, of course. So being in P4 now, the top of the field, so places 1 through 4, me included, is pretty tight together, and then there's a bit of a gap to the P5, but yeah, I mentioned that before. So yeah, it's clear focus in front, not much else. There is a chance, I suppose, we could overtake some back markers. Haven't seen much of that in the way of that. At least for me, I'm keeping Rays in my sights, so that's all I can hope for at this time. Let's see what the lap time is and if we can make an impression on that. There is a car there on the right, but I'll get back to that. So Rays did a 2:19.3, and I finally get my first lap on the board that doesn't get any track limits, and it's a 2:22.9, so pretty disastrous. But yeah, no surprises given the huge amount of time I lost in Sector 1 in the previous lap. Yeah, so there was a car to the side, and it was Blom. And they let us know in the chat that they had run out of fuel. So I guess karma strikes in triples. Hopefully it's the last time this race. In front of me, we do see a back marker, Dixit, and they go very wide in Le Combe 1, but importantly, Race spins out in Le Combe 1 as well. Interestingly, it looked very similar to the spin out when they tried to dive me earlier in the race. So we'll have a look at that as well after the race is over in my investigation. At this point, I finally see a good opportunity to annoy them back the way they have been annoying me. So there are certain sections on the track where there's no way for them to overtake me if I don't want them to. And I make use of the first stunt to put on my blinkers and to take it a little extra slow. And they do bump into the back of me. My car is a little unsettled. There they are flashing again. But not too much harm done. They also kind of lose the control over their car for a moment, and nothing doing. We maintain positions. Same thing here. I'm really taking it easy through the corner there because no point where they can overtake. and then on the next mini straight I just make sure to get on the throttle fast enough. It's a bit of a dangerous game because if they catch on, they can just hang back a bit more and then get on the throttle before me and get a better run through the next fast section. But then again, I can just see that coming, and then if they're not close enough, not play the same game. So yeah, just getting a bit of payback for all the annoyances they put on me. And then we're on the final lap, so we're heading to the bus stop chicane for the final time. And here, if you look in my rear view mirror after Blanchiment, they stay all the way to the right, whereas normally you would start coming to the left. So they're telegraphing that they're gonna go for a dive once more, which is not a big surprise because it's the total amount of their racecraft. So before I start braking, I already aim it to the apex, and I make it a super narrow margin on the inside. I start defending the inside really, and if they had any racecraft, they would move to the outside. So they of course stay on the inside, and they have exactly one car's width, but they come in way too hot to follow the curve of the track and stay within that little gap I leave them. So they just bump into me and they lose it. And I'm freezing here because that's the normal place where you would go on the brakes. And here is where they finally reach 100% brake, so it's way too late. And this move is never gonna work. Or also because I'm already defending this lane, so it's very asinine to go for it anyway. But yeah, at this point they're just a passenger, nothing they can do but keep stomping on the brakes. And so right as we come to the apex, there's exactly one car's width. They'll have to start turning with me, but yeah, they don't. So we touch a bit, they crash out, and that will be the race for them. So goodbye race. Not nice to know you, but yeah, anyway. See you later. And so with Blom out of the picture and Race in the barriers, this brings it home in P2 for me. Race that eventually does come through as well in P3. But yeah, it was an interesting one. So for people that are not interested in the analysis of the Race dive, thank you for watching and goodbye. For those of you that are still here, so here's a freeze frame. So I'm in pretty much in the racing line corridor, the blue lines. Then the perpendicular blue line is where you want to be braking fully, and the red line, the first one, is where I started to hit the brakes a little. You could see some braking on my pedal, and now here is where I hit 100% braking. So a little late already, but it's still fine. Then I may start veering a little right because it's pretty normal to start, doing a little turn in before you start trail braking. So that's what I do. And that line does intersect eventually with where a race was going, but they weren't alongside, so they had no right to the corner anyway at that point, and it's towards the end of the heavy braking phase, so pretty normal thing to do. Now if you look at where Race is braking, here is where they first touch the brakes, as you can see on the bottom right, which is already very late and they're quite far off the racing line, so it's really bad idea. And here they are 100% on the brake. So yeah, super late, all the more considering how far they are off the racing line, which also means that their angle will be much tighter when they hit the corner, making it an extra bad idea. Then if you now focus more on their movement, they do veer very slightly, but they don't have to let go of the brakes at all. So they barely lose any braking power. And here roughly at the apex of the corner, oh no, I didn't stop it there. But anyway, finally, here's a clip from a famous YouTuber, Speed, and he's driving the same car as Race was on the racing line, and this is where he first touches the brakes, as you can see in the middle of the screen. So way earlier than Race did off the racing line. This is where he hits 100% braking. Notably, this car is probably the worst braker out of the lineup of GT3, so it makes sense that you have to brake quite early and way before the point where Race did. And then as we go on, we see here he starts putting on a little steering angle, so quite a bit before the actual corner you do a little pre-turning if no car is alongside you, which this guy, he was hot lapping and did 2 minutes 16.5 in this clip, so yeah. Here we come up to closer to the apex, but he's only doing 125, where Race was doing 140 on when he touched the curb. So we won't see the actual speed on the curb for Ono Speed because the steering wheel is in front. But anyway, And finally, this is a clip from a race before where someone was looking to do the same move on me, but I braked quite late, as I did versus race, and they decided they had to back out of it. And I say finally, but finally, here's the clip of Race doing the same move, basically against his back marker. We can see the classic flashing lights. Here is where he first touches the brakes against his back marker, closer to the racing line. Here is where he's 100% on the brakes. So in both instances, way earlier than in the case versus me. And then here, they're at 117 when they're on the curb, so way slower than when they were trying the same move versus me under much worse circumstances. And here is the result where they still spin out, so they didn't need my help at all after all. So yeah, for me that's investigation done to a satisfactory conclusion. I don't feel any responsibility. Anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye.